Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Joe Tyrrell and welcome back to the runoff. It's been a few weeks, but myself, Cameron, and Toby are back for our mid-season review. So, lads, how are we?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Belgium this weekend, so looking forward to it. How you doing?
I am very well and looking forward to Belgium. Toby, how about you? How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you, Joe. Been a long few days, had a bit of an illness, but I'm hopefully getting better. So that's the main thing.
Soldiering on, that's the important thing. Well, lads, in a little while, we're gonna grade each team on their performance so far, sort of their mid-season grades. But what have you made of the season so far, Toby?
I've I've really enjoyed it. I feel like it hasn't been as good as last year. I don't think we're going to top that personally. I feel like last year was just a very good year overall. But that's not downplaying this year at all. I feel like there's been some very good races, but there has been some very dull ones. But that's what you expect in a Formula One season. But I'm quickly just going to throw out my personal highlight of the season will be the British Grand Prix. I still stand by that as been the best race of the season so far. I feel like it was the one which kind of had all the action, and obviously it's our home Grand Prix in a sense. So I feel like that's my favourite. I don't know. It's just been really good. It's been good seeing the new kind of era of cars and how differently it's affected each team and where they're kind of building towards. So it's been good.
Yeah,
Cameron,
I
how
agree.
about
To
you?
be
You've
fair,
enjoyed it?
yeah, no, yeah, I agree with Toby actually. I think it's been a really good year. I think the regulation changes that we had, they obviously intended to make closer racing and everything like that, and I think it's done that to an extent. It's not been, you know, the the back markers can suddenly fight and everyone's within like the straight at the same
Mm.
time, but it's been some pretty close racing. I think slightly disappointing that we've not had a few more of those unexpected podiums that we've had in the last couple of years. Obviously, Lando Norris is the only driver outside the top three teams to have had a podium, and that was at Imola. So you're not getting your, I don't know, Baku 2021 when Vettel and Gasly were both on the podium, or the ones you had in 2020 with Ocon and Stroll and everything like that. So I'd like to see that a little bit more, but I think it's been a good race. It started very well, I must say. Bahrain was pretty epic with Max and Charles just swapping places, um, just after like one corner each, and yeah. So I think it's been a good season. I just hope that Leclerc can come back and actually mount a title fight because I have a feeling it might get pretty stale and Max just cruises to the title.
Yeah, it would be nice if Ferrari could mount a fight back. But at the minute, it looks as if Mercedes are going to draw them in a little bit more. We'll see how their campaign unravels in the second half of the season. I think, Toby, you're spot on. My highlight, the British Grand Prix, a really good race. And I think that is the one prime example we've had of the new regulation changes making their mark.
Yeah, it was one of those where we didn't expect it to be as good as it was, but we did still expect a good race. And then it came into it, and it was those final few laps. Lewis Hamilton overtaking. Oh, I don't know who it was. Was it?
Perez and Leclerc.
Yeah,
Perez and
Perez and
Leclerc,
Leclerc.
as though they were
And
battling
through
away.
goes Hamilton.
Yeah, it's just that kind of that iconic moment is a moment that's going to stick in our heads as fans, and then also the very young fans that were potentially at Silverstone or just watching on TV. They're going to remember that, and it's just one of those things where I don't know. It's just really good. It's one of those racing moments which made me happy, and I'm not even that big of a Lewis Hamilton fan. It's just that excitement that draws you in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I thought the commentary was brilliant for that race, and that sort of added to the drama. But we haven't got time to dwell, lads. We are going to be looking back on the individual performances of each team in our mid-season review, give them a little score. Um, a star to well, A, sorry, we've not given any A stars out. A to you, and we'll see who's performed the best. So we'll start at the bottom of the pile, as they have been for a lot of the last few years. Williams. Lads, how do you sort of reflect on their season so far?
I think it's been one driver outperforming the other. I'm not sure any of us are particularly surprised that Alex Albon's had the better of Nicholas Latifi. I think obviously Albon had the year out in 2021 after a poor year at Red Bull. But like he still got the promotion to Red Bull in the first place, so he's still clearly a talented driver, and we've just not seen anything from Latifi that suggests he's really up to scratch. And yes, his performances last year were closer to George Russell's than the year before, but it was still miles off, really. And this is the year where you're hoping it's time to become like the team leader, and he's just not been at all. Like, it's the year you think like a new teammate coming in, George Russell, like one of the
Is
most
gone.
talented drivers. Yeah, like the guy that keeps beating you, but like putting it in Q3 while you're like knocked out 20th, has left the team. It's the time for you to step up, and he just hasn't. And he, yeah, I don't think he just isn't the driver that's going to take Williams to the next level. So I personally just think it might be time for them to just look in another direction, because it's clearly not worked.
I think they
Yeah.
are as well.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Who they're going to sign is yet to be seen. I actually thought first year you give Latifi the benefit of the doubt.
Oh yeah,
Second
definitely.
year he definitely started to improve. I thought.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be like the curve was looking like that, and it's just completely just flattened. Like, it's
And
just,
it has. He's made mistakes. He's had a
I was
bit
gonna
of
say, I
bad
think
luck, but
flattened is a bit generous.
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't actually know how quick we don't know how quick the Williams is. I don't actually know how well Albon's doing or how poorly Latifi's doing, but like, Latifi had a couple moments. So qualified, was it 10th in Silverstone when it was in the wet?
we had that that FP3 performance as well before he
Don't
qualified
forget
dead
that.
last.
That might have saved his seat.
Yeah.
Getting P1 in free practice. Like, wow. Yeah, serious stuff. But I think, do you want to say our grade for them now? Our collective?
Well, what have we given them? Let me get my notes up. We've given Williams a D.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Because
I think that's fair because Albon has probably got a decent amount out of that car. He's looked good.
Yeah.
And I remember we discussed on a podcast months ago now that Albon's seat was the one under threat. And I bet they're glad they're keeping him now. So mixed for Williams because they're not the worst we've given out, are they?
No.
But you'll have to wait and see.
No, it's just very contrasting sides with them, isn't it? Like, you've got Albon, who's doing decent for the Williams and scoring a few points, and then, like we said, Latifi, who's all the way down here.
I think it's worth noting that our
struggling.
grades, we're like basing it off the expectations of the teams as well as their performance as well. So
yeah,
D, I feel like is pretty fair. Obviously, like, it's kind of where they expected to be. So you can
everyone I sort of felt going into the year they've been on this upwards trajectory for the last few years.
Well, it was very hopeful, wasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of people had hope in Williams.
Yeah.
I just never thought Latifi was gonna like be like a midfield driver. I couldn't see it, and I thought Albon would be. I thought they'd be a bit quicker, but a bit disappointing really. Because Jos Capito had done such a good job in 2021 to make that car like fairly-ish competitive and take them off like the foot of
the table,
like the constructors, and then it's just gone straight back down.
Yeah. Unlucky Williams. You're not bottom though. Next up, we've got Aston Martin. Now, this was one we sort of debated over a little bit at the start of the season, and obviously we've had Seb's recent retirement, and Fernando's announcement that he'll be joining them next season.
I don't know why he's done that, but
the most ridiculous move I've ever seen. But we're focusing on the here and now. And I'll be honest, after 2020, when expectations were high already, 2021 was bad, and I think it's just got worse for them this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, so bad. Toby, do you want to take this one first?
Yeah, I said it before we started recording. I just think that they have overall, when you like, I know you mentioned race pace, Cam, but their qualifying pace has been so dire compared to their race pace. And then the crashes and DNFs and retiring, and Lance Stroll having his meltdown on team radio every other week. It's just one of those things where you just look at Aston Martin this year and you think, where has it really gone this wrong?
Is it the car? Is it the drivers?
Yeah, no one really knows. For all we know, they could pull out the bag after, because obviously we've got some breaks over now, so now we're in the second or final half of the season, and they could come back and have a pacey car and could start scoring points. But so far, they look like they're not going to get anywhere near points.
The thing is, it's not
some weekends
difficult. Like, they generally do. It's hard to determine like their pace, but like race pace is actually good. Like, you'll consistently see them in like 12th, 13th, but they've started like 18th. Like they're just always knocked out in Q1, like literally always. And it's like you can sometimes hear it in like Seb's radio. It's like what, like how, like he just doesn't understand like what's going wrong.
I
But
think that's contributed to him leaving early. Because I think he's retired early.
maybe to be fair, because it's always hindsight. But like if Aston had like a semi-competitive car in qualifying, he would score points from like way more regularly. Like if they even qualified like 13th or 14th, like the race pace shows that they could easily get points like at most weekends, because they've managed to get points even starting like in like getting knocked out in Q1. So I don't know what's gone wrong with qualifying pace compared to the race pace, but yeah, I think like we've given them a D, an E.
Well, I've put D/E. Now I was
I think I was campaigning for a D.
You two were more a D, and I was an E, because I just think they've been so underwhelming.
Good, but I'm happy to go E because like the thing is that I know it's way back, well, it's 2 years, but 2020, like when they were Racing Point, like brilliant. Even Stroll started 2020 like on fire. Like Stroll was better than Perez for like a good part of the first half of 2020.
Stroll
was it 20
pole in Turkey?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Was his pole 2020?
Yeah, he got a couple of podiums, but like he was ahead of Perez for like a good chunk of that season.
He's not had enough rain.
And then now it's just like, well, what's happened? Like, I don't think he's a bad driver. Like, I mean, I know he got fast track to F1, but like even his F3 season, I know he's in the best team, but like he was so much better than everyone else. He won like every race pretty much, and then got promoted straight to F1. And the thing is, he just hasn't beaten a team.
I think ultimately, personally, I think it is a combination of the car being so poor, it's making the drivers just worse and worse. Because Vettel's not a bad driver; he's a 4-time world champion. And Stroll
bit harsh. He's retiring, mate. You can be nice to him.
Stroll is better than Latifi.
Yeah, he wins the battle of the Canadians for sure.
So I think I'm prepared to go for D, because I may be basing their expectations off 2020 rather than 2021.
I think I might have done. Yeah, I think that's fair, because like 2021 was also bad. So
yeah, so I think D is fair. So that's 2 Ds in a row. I don't think we're going to be sticking with an E. This will have gone under the radar, this team, because they've been so good now since 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
They've been unreal, in my opinion. Probably become my favourite team. AlphaTauri. But this year, they were sort of expected to stick with McLaren and Alpine, and they've just gone backwards. Like,
they've been bad. Like it has gone, like you said, it has actually gone under the radar.
Yeah,
like really has. Like it's weird. I don't know what you think, but I just personally think that Gasly getting 5th in Baku.
How many points does 5th get you again?
Save their season.
12.
That's like almost half their points.
Yeah, like literally, it's
10.
Even then, that's still
points, yeah.
It's genuinely saved their season. Like actually has like the Baku result, because like
Tsunoda's below Schumacher. Tsunoda's got 11. Gasly's got 16. It's always not great reading for either of them.
Yeah, like Gasly, you expect. Gasly is. I think that Gasly and Ricciardo have come out. Ricciardo a little bit less, because actually he wasn't that good in 2021. But Gasly has probably seen his reputation drop the most from the regulation changes.
Oh yeah, there was talks of Gasly even getting a Mercedes seat at one point.
Replace Lewis, and I'm like, now, like I don't know if it's just the regulations don't suit him or the new cars, but like there's no way, like he's like if he ain't got 5th in Baku, like Tsunoda would be ahead of him, and Yuki's not even had a good year. So
yeah, I think we maybe Alpine could take a look at Gasly maybe. Because Gasly's a good driver, I think.
They might, yeah, but it's like he hasn't had a good year. You want to move like upwards. Oh, you've had a good year. Like,
yeah,
bad thing. Like it happens in football. Like a player has a bad season and they move to a better team. You're like, well, that's just bad planning. Like that, and I think it's a similar thing in F1. Like his stock isn't that high. Like why would you there's no guarantee that he can adapt to a different team with the same regulations that he's performed poorly in. And I genuinely think like they're like a really likable team, like Gasly and Tsunoda. Like they get on really well. They're like media output's really good, like the AlphaTauri, like Twitter and everything. Like they do like cool videos and stuff, but like that's just clouded over. Like I think
They have been awful. They've got 27 points, and compared to where they have been, let's be real here. They were challenging for best of the rest. The last 2
Gasly
years.
was best of.
Gasly was top
Yeah.
10 in very consistently, and
He was a top.
probably
He was like
top 8.
six.
In my
Yeah.
opinion,
Top six.
I've
He
always
qualified. I'm pretty certain he qualified top 6 in like half the races last season.
Is that the one prediction I've got right this year where I predicted Gasly top 7? Did I predict that?
Yeah, you actually did predict that at that bracket. Yeah, that got you 3 points in our predictions thing.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know how you did that because they've been flipping awful.
Yeah, I don't know why. I clearly haven't been paying attention this season. So yeah, we've given them an E.
I think that's fair.
I think
it didn't really hit me until I actually properly looked at the standards. We sort of sat here discussing it, and we were like, "No, they've actually been terrible. We're gonna have to give. They've probably been the most underwhelming team. Given
They've been the most forgettable team.
Yeah, 100%.
That is bad when you're like they're just nowhere, like no one cares.
Like I haven't even remembered half of the races this season, like having either Gasly or Sonoda mentioned.
I'm pretty certain they're just not on the TV coverage.
They're in that weird area, aren't they? I don't think they finish like 7. They don't finish like 16th and lower every race. They just don't score any points.
They just finish like 13th and 14th, and they're never on TV. Their names don't get mentioned. They might as well just not be there. We might as well just be driving the cars.
Yeah, well, there you go. AlphaTauri are getting a well-deserved E. On to slightly more positive teams. Haas. Now, this might be clouded by Kevin Magnussen's ridiculous first weekend.
We love you, K-Mag.
But let's be real. Haas's expectations at the start of the season were lower than last season, I think, given the situation they were in with Mazepin.
No, they invested. They stopped all development of 2021 for 2022, but I don't think they could have imagined like being like on par with Mercedes, Austria, for example.
I was going to say we had a good guess that they'd probably be better than Williams.
I think we predicted that in our pre-season things. I think I said Haas will close the gap to the midfield, but I thought they'd close it. I didn't think they'd be
no one would thought they'd score points as much as they have.
And I think they caught us off guard at Bahrain when they turned up and were that good.
K-Mag, no anything, no testing, no anything. Just came in and absolutely tore up the script.
They have, it's as expected, they have plateaued a bit. But even then, they pop up one weekend and they get a.
But Schumacher's improved a little bit, and that's
Schumacher's improved.
I think Schumacher's proved a lot.
And considering he's had a few accidents as well, he's come back strongly.
One thing about your plateau comment, Joe, I feel like Haas they have plateaued, but they're very track specific.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A lot of teams are. You're going to be better at certain tracks, but I feel like Haas is better at how do I say this without sounding weird? They're more better at the tracks they're meant to be better at, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like say Haas is suited to Austria and Mercedes is suited to Paul Ricard, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's inflated at those venues.
Yeah, it's more suited to Haas than it is. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm trying. Yeah, I just feel like that's put them in quite a good position, and like we said, it's come from nowhere, which is it's been exciting, which has made a lot of people like Haas.
They've liked him again,
and the
boat thing.
Yeah,
that's
and everyone got fed up with them.
Second team.
Yeah, that's what they are again. Like
which they weren't last year with how they funded their team. That's for sure.
And yeah, like a few years ago, I'd have said they were one of my second favorite teams. But now they're back to being that after being.
I don't know if we mentioned you've given them a B. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, sorry, we've given them a B. So well done, Haas.
Big on Haas. We like Haas.
We have been very impressed, and Magnussen in particular. To be fair, that's not to say Schumacher's been bad, but Magnussen in particular coming back into it, good stuff
from the start.
This is a weird one because I felt like if you had told me, if I had watched all the races and said who's higher in the table, Haas or Alfa Romeo, I would have told you Haas are higher in the standings because that's just sort of been the outlook from the outside world. That's just sort of what everyone, I imagine, would be thinking. But Alfa Romeo actually 17 points clear, I think.
Pretty decent.
So, it's all down to
Yeah,
Valtteri Bottas.
17. And yeah, fair enough.
But I think
Zhao's had bad luck.
very bad luck. I think I was actually probably quite bad. I was actually really critical. I did not think he was going to be very good because I was like, you've taken 3 years in F2 and you didn't even win the title.
Yeah.
But like, he's actually just been pretty deep. Like, he's not been like unreal. But
I was gonna say he's been decent, but sorry, Cam, I'm butting you off here. I've got a point to make.
Go on then.
It seems like he's scored more points than he has. I don't know if you two feel the same.
Yeah, 100%.
But I think he's DNF'd like from points a fair bit.
Yeah.
Plus, like the last couple of races, like he's out qualified Bottas, and like Bottas is like notoriously like just like a good qualifier.
Yeah.
Like that's what he's like built a lot of things off. Like he was never really close to Lewis in like race pace, but like sometimes he'd qualify ahead, and then if you put it on P1, like he'd just win from there. And like, so it's fair play, like a rookie coming in with sort of little expectations. But yeah, I've been they've been very like under the radar, and I think they have definitely dropped off. Like Bottas had a great start to the season and was probably like the best of the rest out other than the top 3 teams. But then has just sort of a bit like Casterly, I guess, plateaued a little bit.
As a result, we've given them a C, which I think is maybe a little bit harsh, but I don't really know what their expectations were.
I think
I was going to say, Joe, you were thinking B, weren't you?
I was thinking B, just looking at the standings, because I think they had 1 year when Raikkonen and Giovinazzi first teamed up, I want to say. 2019?
Yeah.
When they they weren't midfield, but they were better than bottom tier.
Yeah. That's what.
And then they did go downhill, I think, in the last 2 years.
I'd be happy to bump them up to a B, to be fair. But the thing is, I haven't been like.
I know we'll stick with a C. I think.
I don't know what it is.
One thing I want to say is, remember when we were talking about and predicting the Bottas podium? I think we mentioned that a fair few times.
I think there might have been a Tyrrell thing to say.
That might have been a Tyrrell.
Yeah, I might have said that too many times.
But he just hasn't looked anywhere like scoring a podium since we said that.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with a C because I don't really know what their expectations were. Next on the list, we've got McLaren. Now, I personally,
you're a McLaren hater.
I don't like the way they've treated Daniel Ricciardo. And B, I think they were tipped. They were tipped to be title challengers, and
they were after Spain testing. Like remember when like Norris was quickest in one of the days.
And now I think they're lucky to get away. We've given them a C, but that's purely because they're quite close to Alpine, who are their main rivals.
Because Lando Norris drives in their car.
Yeah, Lando Norris has carried them to a C.
But if it was up to me alone, they'd be lucky to get a D.
To be fair, I just think they've actually, like, Daniel's been bad. Like, I like the guy. Driver, but like he's just not had any pace.
Yeah.
But then like you do look, the team
if you look performance-wise, you can see why they are thinking of moving on from Ricciardo, and obviously now.
Not gonna lie, I was when I first saw the rumors of Ricciardo maybe leaving, I was pretty gutted. But then when it got announced today, I actually really wasn't that disappointed because he has been quite poor.
Yeah, I'm like, it's time. It's just not worked out, and it's one.
I hope he sticks around though.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't think of too many F1 drivers who are like at like a peak, and they move teams and they get so much worse. Like,
I'd love to know what it is, what it's been, whether it's been a
like,
confidence thing, whether it's been,
I don't know,
he's just a bad driver, whether he doesn't like the car. Love to know what it is. If because last year we all sort of thought he's adapting to McLaren, adapting to the car. This year,
you gave him a year off to be like, with less criticism, and he won at Monza.
So,
but
it reminded me a little bit of Turbo Timo at Chelsea. We gave him the first year, gave him the benefit because I'm a massive Timo fan. Give him the first year, benefit of the doubt, and then he didn't do it second year.
It was his run that won us the Champions League, mate.
Exactly, and I'm still gutted. I can't get his shirt this season. But McLaren, you're getting C.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I got one quick point.
Yeah, sorry, I went off on one.
I know you mentioned that you hope he sticks around, and we're going to talk about it after we've done all the ratings. We're going to mention Ricciardo briefly. But whilst I remember, Haas have supposedly shown an interest in Ricciardo. So
Bad.
I haven't seen that.
wouldn't be bad, but
yeah,
I'm not
Who'd
convinced.
he replace? I can't see him replacing Mick, and it'd be well harsh on K-Mag.
my guess is Mick.
Yeah,
it
that
would be
is.
Mick, but they're not convinced. But
Yeah, that was just something I saw. So and I remembered. So I thought I'd just
bringing it back to McLaren, I'd like to say that their first weekend was so surprising. Do you remember that they were just running like bottom two?
I used to love
I was-
McLaren.
and I was just like,
I just don't know.
I'm like, I still believe that Lando is a very, very good driver, and I think that he's pushed them to,
Yeah, they've
Good.
kept them in touch with
what to say.
Alpine. Otherwise, they
Yeah,
would be in no
it's-
man's land.
Without Lando, they would not be close to getting fourth.
I actually think they'd probably be our lowest rated team if they didn't have Lando.
which
So-
says a lot because he's been good. So
Yeah.
fair play to him.
McLaren, you're lucky you get a C. Alpine have been much better, in my opinion. They've exceeded expectations, and we're giving them a B.
Big up Alpine. They've
Yeah,
been good. And they've also, yet again, had a really close driver lineup. And I like a good close driver lineup.
I don't think there's a closer lineup on the grid,
Mercedes, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ferrari.
No, not Ferrari. Ferrari? Carlos been miles off. It's McLaren, then Mercedes, then Alpine for me. But yeah, it was close in 2021. Like their qualifying was stupid close, and then race pace, and they're pretty close again this year. Fernando's been a bit unlucky with how races have gone, but yeah, I think Alpine have been good.
Really good.
I think they will.
And
McLaren, they will finish fourth.
I
You
think
can't fault them.
nope. And I think Fernando's mental to leave.
Yeah, me too.
I think that the thing
What
is
that all about?
at his age, he must be like, well, why are you considering Piastri? Like, you've got me here. And he wouldn't take Piastri.
Well, now they're not even going to get Piastri, are they?
Yeah, but you know, from like before then, like Piastri wouldn't have taken Ocon's seat because Ocon had that sign a new contract and everything. So it would have been Fernando. And Fernando's like, I can't afford to just get dropped. Like, I just need to join Aston, I guess. But who knows?
A short one. Alpine, B, congratulations. Mercedes. Now, we had a bit of a conversation about this one because they could easily be a D. They could easily be a B, but we've given them a C.
Go on, Toby.
Toby.
Yeah, I personally felt like it was a bit harsh. I was leaning towards more the B just because of the form
if
they
the season
had
was 6
into the
weeks
summer
old.
break. Yeah. But when you have
Got to
the
see the whole thing.
expectations of
Expectations
potential
sky
world
high.
champions and consistent race winners, and then you look at the fact, like Cam said before we started recording, they haven't won a race. You can see why we've put them as a C.
Like saying before this season started, before I was going to say a ball was kicked, but we're not talking about football. Before a wheel rolled,
before an engine was started.
I can't think of the equivalent saying. But like before, if someone had said like summer break
before a light went out,
we'll get to. Yeah, before like by the summer break, Mercedes will not have won a race. You would have been just like, okay, that's been a bad season.
I think that's the damning stat, isn't it? That does it.
That
They've not won a race.
So you can't give that, like, if someone said that before, you would have said they had a bad season so far. So I don't think we can give them too high grade. But I also think recency bias would make you think a B because their season started very poorly and they also got lucky.
That's what I was trying to argue.
I know you make your own luck, but they have just benefited from like first race of the season, Red Bull just having that reliability issues, Ferrari having just being Ferrari. And so they've benefited from other teams. You make your own luck. Compromises, they get C.
Yeah, I think C's fair. Lewis has really turned up lately, and George has been Mr. Consistent.
Good.
I was going to say, I think George is potentially, or if he carries it on for the rest of the season, I feel like he would have exceeded his expectations.
Yeah,
because I don't think
in comparison to how close he is to Lewis, I agree.
Yeah,
he would have expected to have won a race by now, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all did, and I still back Mercedes every week.
I want him to win again. Same.
Yeah. Ferrari. Now this is a tricky one. So Mercedes got a C. Ferrari, this is a tricky one because I think after the first 3 races, we were all sat here recording this podcast thinking they were walking away with the title.
Don't remind me. I
And
was
we
happy
were
about
well surprised because expectations were higher, but they weren't astronomical. They were certainly better than what they've been. But their last 8 weeks have been so disappointing.
It's
From
hard
the
to judge.
standards they set
It's
early
been
in
a
the
mix
season.
of everything, though, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is hard to judge because I think it's easy to meme Ferrari and just say like, "Oh, they should get a D." Like,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, like, they're still in
They're still second.
just about for the
They've
constructors.
still won
They're
several
still in the
races.
drive. Like, they've still got a quick car. They've still done better than people may have expected at the start of the season, and a lot better than they did in 2021. So I know we could easily just sit here and say their strategy's been poor. They've had poor reliability. Carlos has made a few mistakes. Charles made a couple of mistakes. But at the end of the day, they've been the second quickest team with like second best team with arguably the quickest car, maybe the second quickest car, and drivers that have performed pretty well. So I think a B is fair. When you think at the start of the season, Ferrari have won however many races they've won, and Mercedes haven't won any, Ferrari should get a high grade, I think.
If we were looking at expectations after 3 races of the season, we'd probably
it
be
would be
looking
a
at giving
low.
Ferrari an E. But on the whole, they have picked it up, and it's good to see because, especially for the first 3-4 weeks, they just seemed to be like it looked like a completely different Ferrari team. It looked all of a sudden they were the ones with the good strategies, they were the ones with the good pit stops, they were the ones with the quick car. All of a sudden, it's not that. And I did a video or we did a podcast where we said, I said it's a long way to go, but Ferrari's lead is just insurmountable.
Yeah, you said that so early.
I don't know.
I think
I've said some outlandish things this year. That's no
Some?
change. That's no
Every week.
change. And I have been proved wrong because we've given Ferrari a B. I wrote Red Bull off, and we've given them an A.
For good reason, because
Good reason.
They're winning.
They're the best team this season so far.
And as much as it pains me because I want Charles Leclerc to win,
Yeah.
Max Verstappen's been better. Like he's actually been better. Like Leclerc made a couple of errors. Like Max just like hasn't really, except doing a 360 spin at Hungary just to see where Leclerc was, and then just overtake him again for fun. So yeah, I think Max has just been pretty good. Checo's been pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say actually, Checo was good up until he won that race in Monaco.
Yeah.
And has his form just underwhelmed a bit slightly?
I think so. I think France was not very
Yeah.
good, and
he was overtaken by Lewis.
France, he had a bit of a
George.
meltdown.
Yeah, that George just completely skilled him. You would not expect that.
Oh yeah.
You would not.
It's because he was whining the whole time, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think he's been alright. The thing is, he just is a second driver, and like he's done well at second driver. And Red Bull.
He's a great second driver for a top team.
He'll win. They'll win the constructors this year. They didn't win it last year, and
no, Mercedes won it, didn't they?
Yeah, they'll win the constructors this year, and it'll be because Perez was a little bit better than he was in 2021.
Yeah. So yeah, that is our grades. Let's just go through them quickly before we move on to previewing and reflecting on Ricciardo's McLaren career. So we got Williams, you've got a D. Aston Martin, we've got a D as well. AlphaTauri, an E. Haas, a B. Alfa Romeo, a C. McLaren, C. Alpine, B. Mercedes, C. Ferrari, B. And Red Bull, a deserved A. You'll have to wait until the end of the season to see what we have to give them at the end of the season, because we've still got 9 races to go, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
A
lot can change in 9 races.
Yeah, a lot can change. I want some cool things to happen. That's what I want. I want some weird podiums again.
If one thing could happen in the next half a season, 9 races, what would you two pick?
Vettel to win a race before he retires.
Toby's turning his nose.
I was going to say, can I be realistic?
Well, yeah, but what do you mean? Like Gasly won one in 2020, like Ricciardo won one in 2021, and he's not good.
We've just given a team a D, and you've gone to say that you want him to.
That's my
one of their drivers to win a race.
What is going to happen? It's not a prediction. I'm just saying. Joe said, "What do you want to happen?" And that's what I want to happen. I want to see him win a race.
What do you want to happen, Toby?
We'll say whatever you want.
You can be as realistic as you want.
You want.
A new team to win a race.
Okay, cool.
Right, I'd like to see an Ocon victory
we're
again.
now relying on Alfa Romeo, Alpine. No, have Alpine won a race? Alpine have won a race. Alfa Romeo, Haas, Aston Martin, and Williams to win a race. Depends if you include Aston Martin and Racing Point. Well, there you go. That's what
Williams have won races.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, not recently though.
I was so confused what you were on about, and then I was like, okay, he's naming people who haven't won a race ever.
What about
recently.
Williams?
Pastor Maldonado?
Yeah, not recently though.
I was completely just right. Well,
all right. Well, we are going to come on to now the Daniel Ricciardo situation. Right, so we're going to talk about McLaren, Daniel Ricciardo, that whole situation now. It has been confirmed today, as of recording, that Daniel Ricciardo will leave McLaren at the end of the season. Where he goes next, we don't know. We can make predictions. But it's been coming, hasn't it, lads, for 12 months now, really?
Yeah, it's this whole season there's been rumours. And I think everything's just built on top of what's been said prior. And it's just kept going up and up and up and up. And it's kind of hit the point now, which we've kind of been expecting for a few weeks, which is that his tenure at McLaren is over at the end of the year.
It's all turned a bit sour as well, I think.
yeah, it's been a weird one. Like we mentioned a little bit earlier, but I just can't remember a driver who was like him at Renault. Was like that 2020 year was great. Like he was
Yeah,
pretty good. Like
a couple of
he
podiums.
he left Renault on a high, and I just can't remember like a driver who's not been like forced out like Bottas at Mercedes, for example, but like a driver who's left to like on their peak and has just gone down so much. Like I just can't think of anything like this before. Like I just can't think of it. There definitely is, but I just can't think, and he's just been so disappointing. Like Lando Norris.
Yeah, I read the statement and it's almost sounded as if he'd been sacked because he has just been that poor. Obviously, they've got a massive payout, but
yeah, he would have had but it's like going into it, like Lando, we all rated, and he had a good 2020, but it's like he should have, like Lando. It wasn't like a mate, like it wasn't like the best driver on the grid that Daniel's come up against, and it's just been like really disappointing. You know, I thought it was going to be a really great move, and him and Lando Norris were going to have like a really great driver lineup. Like McLaren were going to have one of the best on the grid, and it's just not really panned out that way, and it's a bit disappointing, really. And I wish it had, because
we all thought
really
Monza was a
talented driver.
turning point, didn't we? We all thought Monza last year.
Yeah, it seemed like it was, because he had like it wasn't like a fluke. Like he drove really well that race. Like
all weekend.
He drove extremely well, but Lando was catching.
Yeah, I agree that, and I think
that's a massive hypothetical. It's like
I think
Lando was catching, but he still was behind.
Yeah, I think if it had been if like Lando, it would have been someone else behind, or Lando was chasing someone that wasn't his teammate, then I don't know, it might have got a bit closer. But yeah, like he won the race and deserving, and then it's just not gone anywhere, and it's just weird because he's a good driver, so I don't understand.
And he's running out of seats if he wants to stay in F1, really, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, where do you think he could go? Toby, where do you think he actually might go? Do you think
there's obviously Alpine, but that's already been played down.
Alpine,
like I said, Haas have supposedly shown a bit of interest. Maybe
Williams.
Alfa Romeo, Williams.
It won't be Alpha. They look set with Joe, I think.
Yeah, but he's technically not under contract.
I suppose, yeah. But I just can't, with Chinese Grand Prix to come back next year, not lose their Chinese driver.
Have Mercedes got Hamilton and Russell under contract? I don't really know.
You can't really suggest that.
I'm just thinking of
he might go Mercedes.
He's effectively just been sacked by Mercedes' B team. Don't think he's getting a move to Mercedes.
I was just naming spots I could think of.
I think Williams is a good shout.
Or Haas.
Williams to replace Latifi. Yeah. That might actually be.
That's a major downgrade, though.
How do you know? They might be good next year.
Okay. I'll throw it out.
He's not exactly earned a good downgrade, though.
Yeah, there is still a spot in Formula E, and there is a spot in not really IndyCar.
Yeah, they've got like 5,000 IndyCar drivers, don't they?
There's a spot in Formula E.
Yeah. Oh, did you? Oh, actually, I'm pretty certain I saw it earlier. McLaren deleted the tweet where they announced they'd signed Alex Palau today. I saw that on Twitter. That's
And
quite.
I also saw
I never
somewhere about, I don't know where I saw it. I feel like I might be waffling now,
That's a weird
but
one.
there was something about Ricciardo. I don't know.
Thanks, mate.
Ignore ignore
Well,
me.
cheers for that absolutely inspiring insight, Toby.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Joe, where do you think? What do you think happens to Ricciardo? You think he stays in F1 or he goes to another championship?
I would like him to, but I think he's just running out of space, and I don't think anybody. He's not hot property anymore, is he?
Yeah, that's the thing. He just like Williams is the only one I can imagine. If they're like, okay, Ricardo's better than Latifi. He's a better option than like Sargent or De Vries.
Yeah.
That's all I can really see. But then Alpine have got to fill their seats somehow.
I
Unless
mean,
they go
I think
it. Well,
Williams should go if they're out of the names you've just mentioned. I think Williams should go for Ricardo out of those names because let's be real, De Vries has just been beaten by Stoffel Van Dorn.
That's what I was gonna say.
Van Dorn was
De
actually
Vries,
dunked on by.
Why is nobody mentioning
finished
Stoffel Van
eighth.
Dorn?
That's what I was gonna say. Van Dorn,
That was so bad.
potentially. I'm going to chuck this out there because I like him. Jake Dennis has done so well since going into Formula E.
Who is that?
Yeah, who is that?
He's been so good. He's
I know he
Red
got it on pole
Bull's
when
simulator
I know he was on
driver.
pole when you went to watch it in London. I know he got on pole.
Right.
I
He's
saw you
Red
put it
Bull
up.
simulator driver. Watch him get a reserve seat, and then in 2 years he'll be at F1.
How old is he?
Like 23.
Oh, okay. I
Well,
thought
there's
you
still
said
hope
28
for us,
then.
lads.
Yeah.
If he's
Yeah, I think we'll do our prediction video. We'll do a prediction video to actually go through all this properly, but we're just brainstorming here. Ricardo to Williams is what I say.
I think the thing
I think
is,
so.
we can brainstorm as much as we can, but I feel like we can all agree we have no idea where he's gonna be or could be,
No idea.
and
And
that's the issue.
I think McLaren have really taken a risk here because there's no guarantee they actually get Piastri.
Who do McLaren go for?
Because-
well, obviously they're going to
it's-
go for Piastri.
There's still the
isn't it?
contract thing.
But yeah, it's like Alpine.
Yeah,
believe
Alpine have already
Piastri-
announced Piastri as their driver. for
There's
next
this
year.
whole legal situation.
Yeah, because
So McLaren could sign Piastri, and then Alpine could prove that Piastri is signed to them,
Yeah,
meaning that he has to go to Alpine, which means McLaren don't have a driver.
that's what I mean. It's a risk because there's no guarantee. Because there might have actually been like in the small print of Piastri's Alpine contract. If you are offered the race seat for 2023 at any time in 2022, then you have to accept it. Like if that's the thing in the small print or something, then he has to go there. And then like McLaren are like scrambling a little bit. I think like I'm not sure they're going to go for maybe any of the F2 drivers because
That's so Ward.
That would be my guess.
really. But I mean
I don't know.
I don't know
McLaren.
anything about IndyCar or anything like that, so I'm not sure.
He's very good.
Is he?
He is very good. I've watched a few. I don't really know IndyCar at all.
Well,
But
we can all agree it's boring.
I know that he is a
Just go around in
good
circles.
young driver,
Fairs.
Yeah.
But
and
I
is
think
that's
tested
not
with
the
them.
they've taken a risk getting rid of Ricciardo before they've confirmed Piastri.
Exactly.
But who knows?
Especially they've had to pay him off as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Tens of
shows how
millions.
like
Oh,
much they
I
don't want
don't
him
know
in
tens
the
of,
team.
Yeah.
As I say,
Yeah,
how much,
I think
I
they've
saw
been
something
trying to
like
force him out.
13 million or
Quite a lot of
16
money.
million
Now,
or something or that.
Yeah.
But I'll take it. I mean,
I think
Yeah,
we would all
McLaren,
take it.
sign
Cam.
me up and then sack me.
I'd
Yeah.
happily do a couple of races like Ricardo did. I mean, he didn't
Yeah,
get any
why
points, so
Well, I'll just say I'm too scared and then just won't race. But yeah, it's a sorry state of affairs for Danny Rick. We've tried to predict who's going to replace him, and now we're going to try and predict the Belgian Grand Prix.
what? That is a smooth transition. That is
Yes,
one of your best.
the Belgian Grand Prix is back. Probably, I reckon it is one of the most overrated races on the calendar, in my opinion. That's not a prediction though. That's a hot take, but that's for another.
So it's a
episode.
contradiction to the video we released. But I
Yeah, no, I actually that doesn't surprise me.
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from, but I also think that like
It's
it's
historic.
historic. Yeah, chinks. It is just like part of F1. So I just think it should be part of the calendar. It's
I
like
get what you
Monaco. Like I'm like,
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Joe, what's your opinion on Monaco?
I like Monaco. I like the
Okay.
boats. No, I get where you're coming from, and I'd much rather it than circuits like Qatar, like we had last year, because that was quite awful.
Yeah, that's why I just like the traditional racetracks, just not have every circuit.
Eau Rouge is cool.
Yeah.
But predictions, where are we at, Cameron? You have the notes.
Yes, Toby obviously wasn't here for our last podcast, so he might not know the scores.
We did release a podcast of sorts, didn't we?
Yes,
we had a
did.
few technical issues. We got
so,
it out eventually.
We did. Now I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will remind everyone, obviously, after Hungary, which is the last Grand Prix before the summer break, scores on the doors as we go into the second half of the season. Technically joint second is me and Joe on 5 points. So we're pretty tied. We're pretty even. And Toby is a little bit ahead on 7. So taking a lead into the second half of the season. Are you going to do a Red Bull and actually convert that into a win, or are you going to just let us come back?
I'm not gonna lie. This whole prediction thing is pure luck.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
What do you mean?
Fun, isn't it?
It's all skill. That's why I.
No logic involved.
Yeah.
I might predict Vettel to win, at Spa, just to,
I think we'll allow that as a surprise.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to put it out there now. A Mercedes driver is winning, and it's going to be Lewis Hamilton.
Okay. Well, you kicked us off, so that's your winner.
Pole. I'm going to go with. It's going to be wet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with George Russell.
Russell in the wet. Yeah, he did well last year in qualifying.
That was going to be my prediction.
Russell and Hamilton 1-2. And then Hamilton will win.
Oh, okay. Go on then.
Was that a surprise?
I thought that was a surprise.
Yuki Tsunoda top 7.
Okay, go on then. Fair play. Go on, Tobes.
I wanted to do George Pole as well.
Do it then. No one's stopping you.
George Pole.
You're winning anyway. So
you're copying me.
Your interest.
Max Verstappen victory.
Mm-hmm.
And my surprise will be a Danny Rick top 6. Is that a surprise?
Pressure's off, so he's just gonna top 6 it. Yeah, that's.
Can you imagine? He wins. They sack him and he wins.
This is for all the haters out there.
Yeah.
Right, I'll go with mine then. I'm just gonna be a bit more boring because I want to get some points. So Max is gonna put it on pole because he is just really good in the wet, and he's also gonna win the race. And my surprise is that Lando Norris is gonna get a podium because I know he crashed in qualifying last year at Spa, but he was gonna get pole, I think. So I think he's quite good around there in the wet. So
didn't he have slicks on?
No, don't think so. It was so wet. If he did, I don't think he did. Are you thinking of George at Hungary this year when he went on? I don't think he might, but I still think that he was looking.
He may have had. Who
are we talking about?
Inters.
Lando Norris at qualifying last year at Spa, the race that didn't happen, but he crashed at
quali.
He crashed in quali. Yeah. But he was looking really good throughout quali, like he was right at the top. So I think he's going to get a podium. That's my surprise prediction.
Oh, he was on the wets. He wasn't on slicks.
Yeah, I know. It was so wet. I don't think he was.
It was very wet at Spa last year. And it's set to rain again, isn't it?
Let's just hope we can have a race.
Rain Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, I live blogged that last year. And it was the most tedious 3 hours of my life.
I'm so happy. I wasn't watching it. I was away, so I didn't even watch it. I was so happy that's the one I missed.
I remember watching it.
And the fact they got a race out of it as well, or they got a classification out of it, was a disgrace. Yeah. That was a disgrace.
They've changed
this lap.
They've changed the way they do it this year.
Have they?
Yeah.
Good, because last year was a joke.
If it's under 2 laps, so like last year, I think first gets 6 points.
Even that's generous.
Second gets 4, and then 3, 2, 1.
Probably.
Yeah, because if you class it as a race, you can't give no points.
Yeah, it's not really fair, really.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The Belgian Grand Prix is coming up this weekend. Make sure, if you haven't already, go and watch Cam and Toby's video they did on the Belgian Grand Prix and Spa and whether it should be scrapped from the calendar.
No, it should.
Well, don't
But
give
that's
them
in the
away. Don't
title,
give them
so-
too much.
It's in the
Yeah, it
title,
is in
so
the title. But go and check out their video. We will see you. Well, Cam won't see you.
yeah, I will not be here. I'm in sunny Greece, but hopefully I'll be able to watch it because I did Facebook message a bar where I am, and they said they're showing it, so
Yeah.
it better be.
Me and Toby will bring you some content on probably Monday or Tuesday. We'll record it after the race on Sunday, though. But from myself, Cameron, and Toby, we will catch you next time.
Michael, have you got it?
No, Mike, that was so not right.
Get in there, Lewis.
George Russell, qualified Mr. Hamilton.
You are